I was pleased to see, of course, the interest that they had, and then I was comparing it with experiences that I had when I was their age, at which time I looked at the adults, the teachers, and they were a mile away. I think this brings them a little closer to reality of that we're really close to them and would like to help them. And probably at a stage, if this is not happening, they don't realize that quite as much. They like the teacher, but they're not quite in touch with what the teacher is trying to do for them. And that's what I felt was the most important part of the meeting and what I gathered from the children as I talked.
Great. Thank
I,
you.
I thought that would help them achieve maybe what they want to learn and maybe to ask questions where they before didn't have the feeling that they were really able to ask such questions. And, that's what I got from it.
All the time. And she liked art, and she would ask me questions and tell me what she liked. She liked math, and she liked to draw, and she would ask me questions, how I was and how many was in my family, and tell me how many brothers and sisters she had. It was very interesting information that she kept asking me. And every time she'd always send me pictures of some things that she drew and pictures. It was very interesting to know, what she liked and what she disliked, and
Nice.
Pretty much like Mary. My little girl lived on a farm, I think is where she lives. And so she would tell me all about her animals and her goats. And of course, I'm an animal person, so I have cats and she had cats. And we talked about all of that. And then I said to her one time, I said, now when you go back to class, what are you going to start? And she said, now they're third graders. And she said, we'll start fractions. And that boggled my mind because I thought fractions didn't start, when I was in that grade at that time, and how the difference in the curriculum and everything is today. And they have, she loves school. She likes to be in her teachers and and everything. But Amy said one time she told Madison, she said, I'm having Grandfriends withdrawal because I haven't talked to her or seen her for a while. So it's a nice thing to have, and not with me not having children, it's really special.
Aw. Thank you. A lot of children, may not have grandparents and things. And when you're talking a 9-year-old communicating with a 101-year-old, they get to see this big difference that they aren't so different, that they all have same interest. And a lot of times, when you're 9 years old, you think a 30-year-old is so old. Um, so I think, when they're, have grandfriends that are, like I said, Orville here is 101, going to be 102 in a month. And, we have Mary, and they're older, and it just was such a wonderful connection to let them see that someone that old is not that different from them. We had a party here. We called it, it was an Alice in Wonderland party. And all the staff here at Sharon, Brooke, we all dressed up and I have wonderful pictures and things, and I know Orville took a lot. but we had all the Grandfriends up, and we told them, everybody has one birthday, but in Alice in Wonderland there's 364 unbirthdays. So we had an unbirthday party, and it let them see that just because you're 101 don't mean you can't party, right, Orville?
They're having a good time.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed that skating.
Oh yeah.
They went over to the skating rink there.
And we got
ice skating.
you got to meet your Grandfriends
And
twice.
they and we had pizza.
Yeah. So the first time they got to meet their Grandfriends, the Grandfriends gave them all $5 to go skating.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to go next door, and they went ice skating. And then they came over here to tell them about it, and got to meet them, and they threw a pizza. All the
party.
Grandfriends threw a pizza party for the all the students. And that was an exciting time, because that was the first time they actually got to meet them in person. And I think that's a key to this program is to be able to get to meet the Grandfriends in person, because you can have a pen pal, but it's extra special when you can make that connection and actually get to sit and meet them in person. I think that was huge for all of you, right?
They were really neat. They cleaned up our plates and our cups and stuff, and cleaned everything off of the table and put it in the trash for us. Really looked after us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning of the program,
Had her
Mrs. Shackles, she sent all of the residents sheets. It was called All About Me, and it has a picture of the student and everything about the student. And then the resident, they all did these back to the students. So so to get to introduce themselves, they got to develop this sheet, and it was wonderful because it really give them a base. They both, what they liked, when their birthdays were, they had the same birthday month, and just kind of what their similarities were, kind of built that foundation for that relationship. And you still have them.
Mm-hmm. I kept all of my information I had.
Yeah. And this year, we're excited because I know, in talking to Mrs. Shackles, instead of having all third graders, we're actually going to have kids from each grade. So she's developed a program where we'll get like 3 kids from kindergarten, 3 kids. So I think that will be really interesting to see how this year plays out, because I think, from kindergarten, I believe, through 5th grade, we'll be getting all ages of kids get to come visit. I mean, we did have a few residents that were Grandfriends that passed away. So that's something, a lot of times people are like, how will you handle that? And that was a very hard thing. So, instead of focusing on that person passed away, we actually had several residents that jumped right in and became a new Grandfriend to that child. And, we just said, that Grandfriend has gone home, and that they now have a new Grandfriend. So we were able to keep it still a positive thing. So I think in developing the program, if you were at other, locations, that is something that you definitely need to think about, because it wasn't something right in the beginning that we thought about until we had to.
Right.
And it stayed very positive. We didn't have any heartbreaks throughout the program. And we had some wonderful residents that were so excited to be able to be part of it, because they, you only have so many kids.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting this year to see how all the different ages of the kids.
Oh yeah, we're super excited about that.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of folks at Duncan Falls that have heard about the program that want to be involved too, so that's great.
And it is, and it's funny because a lot of the children that are in this class, will still be in contact with their Grandfriends.
So we're still going to be in contact with the ones we have?
Yeah, you can still talk, with the ones that you have, but you may have a new
Another one,
Grandfriend to to add to that. So you'll have a whole family of
They have a
grandfriends.
bunch of them, huh?
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. So, but you know, they still have the addresses. We shared, Mrs. Shackle shared the addresses of all of the residents with the families before they left for the summer.
Oh, how nice.
So the kids they're still getting letters and things.
That's good.
Great.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
said I wrote to her, and she wrote back to me, so, you know, she's, we gotta keep in touch. I'd like to see her grow up.
My young man, I did some sketching for him of what we got around here and what the community's like, and he came back with a sketch. That was pretty neat, I thought. Yeah.
Definitely.
It sort of stimulates them to think and gee, what are these old folks here? They're maybe not so bad after all.
Aw.
That's the impression I got, and I think that makes you mature. And I think it's good for them, don't you, Barb?
Oh, it's wonderful for them. And there again, it's so different talking to these children today because they don't talk like young children.
Looking at a smartphone.
You know, that's what I'm saying. They know a smartphone. They know, you know, I wish I had one in my room because I go to open a medicine bottle or an envelope or something, and you know, they're there. They could do it in 2 seconds. They know how to do the phone and everything.
And Barb, tell her you're colorblind, and Bristol found that out, and her grandfriend only writes to her in red and green so that she can read the letters because she's colorblind.
And I'm blind in one eye.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's, now I have a letter here that I am trying to decipher, and it takes me a while sometimes, but I'll get it answered. And but she was all excited about showing her goats at the fair, so I don't know if she got to or not, so.
But even the compassion that
Oh.
child learned that Barb was colorblind, and Barb had mentioned, you know, I can only read in red and green, so she writes all of her letters in that. So it's just, you know, picking up on that and learning that, you know,
Right.
to do something extra because, you know, it helps them. So it's just, I feel like it has taught them at the end of the year a lot of, you know, compassion, empathy that, you know, they might not have had to experience.
That's so true. I think in school they're in their own little pods. Unless you do a project like this, they don't get the same experience of going outside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there again, she was very concerned and everything, and always jumped up if I needed anything, or you know. And they all did the same thing, but you know. But she's just a special little person, and I know that these children are going to be good kids.